or infrastructure, at least for the next 14 days. So a judge issued that ruling during a hearing today. Environmental groups have asked the judge to issue a preliminary injunction to stop operations and further construction. Now, that suit claims the project threatens environmentally sensitive wetlands that are home to protected plants and animals, and that would reverse billions of dollars worth of environmental restoration. There's also a second lawsuit from civil rights groups saying constitutional rights for detainees are being violated. They say they are barred from meeting lawyers, they're being held without any charges, and a federal immigration court has canceled bond hearings. A hearing in that case is scheduled for August 18th. Of course, we'll let you know what happens. Lisa, Ginger.
Matt, thank you. New details this afternoon about accusations against Central Florida Congressman Mills.
We now have the text message exchanges between Mills and Miss United States. Lindsay Langston filed police report claiming the New Smyrna Beach Republican threatened to send explicit pictures and videos of her to men. News 6 has learned a judge in Columbia County has set a hearing related to this case. Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed sat down with Mills' attorney today.
Mills' attorney Aaron Delgado tells me that they agreed to meet and serve Congressman Mills with the paperwork of the injunction case in Columbia County. He says a hearing has now been set in 2 weeks.
I don't see anything civil in there. I don't see any reason for an injunction. I certainly don't see anything criminal in there.
These screenshots of text and social media messages between Mills and Lindsay Langston are what his attorney Aaron Delgado is referring to. In one exchange, Mills writes, "I'm sorry to see this is how you treat things. Good luck. Thanks again for the videos." Langston responds, "Haven't you hurt me enough? Please leave me alone." The messages are part of the injunction filed by Mills' ex-girlfriend, who is also a Republican state committee member and 2024 Miss United States winner. The incident report says she told police that Mills threatened to release intimate images and video after she left him earlier this year. It says they were living together in his New Smyrna Beach house, but broke up after news broke that another woman accused the congressman of assault. That woman later withdrew her accusation.
I think it's really important that people look at the actual language in the injunction and the attached messages. A lot of them are taken out of, just plucked, and you can even see how there's screenshots, just a few of them. Some of them have no dates, no times.
Now at the hearing in 2 weeks, I'm told that Langston and her attorney could present more evidence if they have it, and the judge could issue an injunction at that point if he sees fit. Again, that hearing is in 2 weeks in Columbia County, where this was filed. I'm your Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed, News 6.
Molly, thank you. We want to take a live look now at the turnpike near Claremont. You can see the wet roads out there right now.
We're dodging storms again tonight. Meteorologist Jonathan Kegas joins us now with what we need to know.
I think like last night, guys, we are going to watch these storms fade or at least push out of the Central Florida area on the quicker side. We do have a couple of nasty ones out there, especially around Harmony into Holopah, pushing to the southwest. So all of this stuff is now moving from the Atlantic side to the Gulf side tonight, and that's why it's going to end a little earlier. It's all sagging off to the south and west. So there are those downpours around the turnpike in the Claremont area, sliding south of Leesburg, also around the villages tonight. Lots of lightning. Again, the most intense cell, relatively speaking, and there are no warnings out there or anything like that hanging out just to the west of us in Harmony and Holopah. Hour by hour forecast for the rest of your evening. We'll keep rain chances elevated through about 7 o'clock, and then they're going to sharply drop off. I think a lot of us are going to be on the drier side. That 20% shot for a few downpours again as we approach midnight and through the overnight hours are going to be on the east coast again on the Atlantic side as stuff rolls in from the ocean. I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about in Time Out Your Day tomorrow, coming up at about 4:17.
Jonathan, thank you. One of the major tourist groups for Central Florida is just not showing up this year. The problem has gotten so bad, one local tourism group went all the way to Toronto to see if there's anything that can be done. As News 6 community correspondent Laverne McGee discovered, Experience Kissimmee is now working to get visitors from the Great White North down to the great attractions of Central Florida.
Behind all the tourists having fun at the theme parks are workers like Caleb Johnson.
How important is tourists, for instance, coming from Canada, to people's livelihood here?
Oh, it's very important. I mean, it's what helps pay my bills.
He's been a bus driver for about 7 years, helping tourists get around. But with all the talk of tariffs and border issues, he's worried about Canadians not coming to Kissimmee. And Caleb is not alone.
Well, that's how we make our livelihood.
Disney employee Ken Smith is one of the thousands of people here who benefit from tourism. According to Experience Kissimmee, When people visit Osceola County, our entire community benefits. Tourism saves each household $4,400 in annual taxes.
Canada is our #1 international market.
D.T. Minich is the CEO and president of Experience Kissimmee, the corporation that markets Kissimmee and Osceola County all over the world. He just got back from Toronto, where he was promoting the area.
Do people in Toronto know what Kissimmee is?
They do now. So I was up in Canada doing a lot of media interviews, and the Canadians, there's some resistance right now to travel to the U.S. I was up there just reassuring them that we're Canadian friendly, we want their business.
It's no secret Canadians have become skeptical. Between new tariffs and President Trump threatening to make Canada the 51st state, the relationship has become frayed. But overall, Minich says numbers are up. However, the telling sign will be this fall as the temperatures cool in the north.
So far, so good, but we're being very cautious.
I want Canadians and everyone of every nation to feel comfortable, to feel safe coming here, especially if they're spending their dollars.
In Kissimmee, your Osceola County correspondent, Laverne McGee, News 6.
We now know the motive behind a shooting at an Army post in Georgia. Yesterday, we told you 5 soldiers were hurt at Fort Stewart during a shooting around 11 o'clock. Army Sergeant Cornelius Radford reportedly had a disagreement with one of the victims on Tuesday. Investigators say he followed the co-worker to a maintenance area and shot him in the chest before shooting 4 other people. Radford used a personal handgun, not a military weapon. Investigators are now trying to figure out how he got the gun through security. News 6 also learned this morning Radford is a resident of Jacksonville. Meanwhile, 6 soldiers are being credited with saving a number of lives by stopping Radford before a rampage could go any further. This morning, those who raced in to confront him were honored.
I saw the soldier laying on the ground in the hallway, and I asked if he was injured, and First Sergeant Arnold said he had been shot. So I immediately sprinted over to the soldier and got down on my knees and started rendering aid.
Army criminal investigators say Radford will likely be transferred to a military detention center.
Investigators say they've arrested the man accused of hurting a 14-year-old in a drive-by shooting. This happened last month outside a home near Glover Street in Eustis. That's right off State Road 19 and 441. The 14-year-old was hit in the leg. They are expected to be okay. Eustis police say they have arrested 20-year-old Jabari Lane and a 17-year-old girl. Police said in July the shooting stemmed from a rivalry between 2 groups, but did not provide any other details. Lane is charged with attempted second-degree murder.
Investigators say they have arrested a 29-year-old accused of stealing a man's gun and then using it to carjack him. We're seeing the moments police officers met him at a nearby 7-Eleven when he told them what happened.
He took my firearm.
And he shot at you with your gun?
Twice, yes.
Okay.
The carjacking happened last week. Investigators say 29-year-old Christopher Baez and the man were riding around together when they stopped at the Walmart on Cimarron. The arrest report says the man got back to his car. Baez took the gun and shot it twice. The man ran out of the car to a nearby 7-Eleven and Baez then took off. Investigators later found the stolen car at an apartment complex. Baez is now facing several charges, including attempted second-degree murder. He remains in jail on no bond. A live look now over downtown Orlando from our Light Orlando Delivering Hope camera. Local bars there are hoping a judge would put a pause on the city's after midnight alcohol ordinance, but it is staying in place.
Businesses say the ordinance is a financial burden because it requires them to get a special permit. The city put the ordinance in place because of recent shootings. News 6's Stephanie Rodriguez is in downtown Orlando to explain what's going on.
A judge denied the business's request to put the rules on hold while all of this plays out in court. Last September, some Orlando bar owners filed a federal lawsuit against the city of Orlando and the police chief challenging the after midnight sales ordinance, which requires certain bars to pay for police protection between 10:30 p.m. and 3:30 a.m. The handful of bars that sued alleged that this ordinance is an unconstitutional financial burden that targets their businesses selectively while exempting other venues. The federal lawsuit also argues City of Orlando-owned venues such as Camping World Stadium and the Dr. Phillips Center add to the security burden by, quote, pushing tens of thousands of visitors into the streets and parking lots of downtown Orlando, adding that those venues do serve alcohol but don't participate in the after midnight permit. Now, in the ruling on the request to pause the ordinance rules, the judge said, quote, the court concludes that the motion fails because it does not establish irreparable harm and that the plaintiffs delayed in filing this suit until several months after suffering the alleged harm and further delayed in filing the instant motion. This means the ordinance stays in place and those bars have to keep paying for security until a final judgment is reached. In downtown Orlando, Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6.
Well, could this be the future of Florida pools?
Artificial intelligence is helping lifeguards spot dangers. We'll explain how it works coming up.
Plus, we'll have the ways to save on school supplies for your back-to-school budget. You're watching News 6 at 4. We'll be right back as we take a live look at our camera in Daytona Beach. During the break, we are streaming live on Facebook. Search Lisa Bell News on Facebook right now.
News 6 Insider is sponsored by Orange County Library System.
Florida's back-to-school sales tax holiday is going on now until August 31st.
Yeah, that means now is a great time to get those supplies, especially with all of the price increases we've been seeing lately. Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos shows you ways you can save.
It's that time of the year. You've got to buy the school supplies. But how do you save money without spending too much time? Let's break down some of those hacks. Erica Rodriguez-Kite, a busy mom of two boys, has learned the art of saving money.
This is from my glory days as a coupon lady. I got so good at it that I started writing for the local paper. But now, you know, the years have gone by and gotten busier. I work more now. I have two kids. Time is money. And if you're spending hours and hours and hours trying to save 50 cents here, $1 there, you got to kind of weigh, you know, if it's worth it.
So here are some tips that won't eat at your budget or your time. First, shop around your house for gently used pencils or even brand new supplies from years past.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Look.
Oh, look, jackpot.
Next step, load up your virtual carts early. Now, stores will track those items, alert you when they go on sale, or even send you an incentive to complete your purchase.
On some of the apps, they've got the lists already kind of loaded in there. So I'm going to look there.
What we found when comparing prices for a basic kindergarten supply list, Target's back-to-school sales closely match Walmart's everyday low prices. But surprisingly, the most expensive option were those dollar stores, since their prices don't drop for back-to-school season. Third step, buy in bulk. Now this is useful when maybe splitting between families or even paying it forward.
If you're finding like a super steal on crayons, buy a couple extra packs and donate those to a backpack drive. And then I'm just so excited to drop them off.
Mom, what are you most excited about for back to school?
Dropping them off.
Ditto. Ditto. Candace Campos, News 6.
We'll get Lisa's answer in a moment. News 6 is helping teachers start the year strong. We've created a county-by-county gift list with the supplies they need most. Scan the QR code on your screen. You can also find the links at clickorlando.com/back to school. I mean, it's bittersweet. It's the last weekend, too, for kids who are getting ready. So they better get it in right now.
That's right. It's an exciting time for a lot of kids. I know there are a lot of Meet the Teacher events happening right now, dodging some storms out there as well.
We are, and we're going to keep that for the next couple of hours. I'm optimistic, though, that we end things on the earlier side of the evening, like what we did last night, opposite of Monday and Tuesday, if you remember how late some of those storms lingered. You can always track these storms alongside us. This is a great tool to have if you're going to be waiting in the car line over the next couple of months, several months of the school year. The free News 6 weather app, again, lightning detection that is critical to make sure that you're not getting out of your car to get the kids while there's lightning around. We have a lot of it leaving St. Cloud tonight, heading down closer toward Point Siena. We have a couple of thunderstorms leaving the Four Corners area as well. The Villages, we are getting lit up with a lot of lightning and some thunder. All of these are pushing from east to west tonight, so that's why they're going to leave us on the early side of the day. A couple of lightning strikes closer to Oak Hill and Scottsmore tonight. That storm is fading quickly. Here we go. Rest of the evening, 4 or 5 o'clock. You see most of this stuff, again, going to be along into the west of I-4. Note these downpours out at sea. We keep talking about this weak little tropical wave hanging off the coast of Florida. Well, late tonight into tomorrow, that's going to keep on sending us some scattered downpours, mainly along I-95. So while the heating of the day thunderstorms push off and leave us alone early, we will see a kind of a different weather pattern starting tomorrow. That's 6, 7 o'clock again. So getting things ready out early, maybe doing some back to school shopping. There's going to be some downpours likely clinging to the I-95 corridor. We'll fire up our afternoon thunderstorms again with that same theme along into the west of I-4, at least the biggest and the most widespread thunderstorms when it comes to tomorrow. The other deal, if you are planning on heading to the beach on this last weekend before kids head back to school, do watch out for the rip current risk. You see the red flag flying here. The sky can't bounce around. Ocean a little rough over the next couple of days and through the weekend. Just make sure you're paying attention to what the lifeguards are saying and what the signs say out there, because again, we are going to keep that breeze elevated. You see it right there. Out of the northeast at about 15 to 20 miles an hour. Anytime we have the breeze into the shoreline, that really ramps up the rip current risk, and we're going to keep that right on through the weekend. Wildwood, good evening. We're at 91. Claremont, we're at 85. We had some thunderstorms slide through to help cool us down. Look at us in the Villages. We're at 75 degrees right now. We'll continue to keep things in the 70s and 80s through the rest of the early stages of the afternoon. 92 degrees for tomorrow. Oviedo, we are back to 90 degrees as well. 89 in DeLand. We will see temperatures get back to around 90 degrees with a 70% shot for scattered showers and thunderstorms.
Thank you. How would you feel about AI lifeguards keeping you safe in the pool?
It could pick up very subtle behaviors.
The new tool for human lifeguards that can save lives. That's next.
Your forecast is sponsored by Renewal by Andersen.
Back in.
A live look now at our camera in Daytona Beach. A heads up if you have beach plans. There are rip currents out there. Lifeguards say they had to rescue 62 people from rough surf on Tuesday alone. They've seen several days of dangerous conditions. They say you should make sure you're near a staffed lifeguard tower before getting into the water and follow all of their instructions. And remember, if you do get caught up in a rip current, stay calm and avoid trying to swim against it. Instead, swim parallel to the shore. Meanwhile, lifeguards at YMCA pools are getting extra help. Artificial intelligence.
The founder behind the technology called LinkSight says it's faster than human eyes, and the system can independently track all of the people in the pool at once. This YMCA in Ann Arbor, Michigan is the first pool in the country to test it out. So here's how it works. The red box lights up when AI detects that a swimmer is at risk. A notification is then immediately sent to the lifeguards on duty.
It could pick up very subtle behaviors that may look like someone is just playing around or having fun, but in fact they're really struggling.
Our lifeguards are currently wearing a smartwatch. Looks just like this. What it's going to do is give them a quick real-time photo of the area of the pool where the incident is occurring.
The data from the technology can identify hot spots and pools and times of day when something is more likely to happen. This allows facilities to know when to staff more human lifeguards.
Well, it seems like we are always seeing construction on Central Florida roads.
I'm Catherine Silver in Sanford, where drivers could see changes in their commute, what you should watch out for on one of the busiest roads.
I'm News 6 investigator Mike DeForest. This Brevard County woman was raped as a child more than 30 years ago. Her attacker was never arrested.
An officer of Melbourne Police Department destroyed the evidence in the active rape case of an 11-year-old child.
Now she's suing the city of Melbourne for negligence.
Welcome back. We are following several top stories right now.
A federal judge has ordered a temporary work stop to construction at the controversial immigration detention center, Alligator Alcatraz. The facility will continue to operate and hold detainees for ICE, but workers will not be allowed to add any new filling, paving, or infrastructure for the next 14 days. The suit filed by environmental groups claims the project threatens environmentally sensitive wetlands. There's also a second lawsuit by civil rights groups saying constitutional rights for detainees are being violated. We now have text message exchanges between Congressman Mills and Miss United States. Lindsay Langston filed a police report claiming the New Smyrna Beach Republican threatened to send explicit pictures and videos of her to men. News 6 has also learned a judge in Columbia County has set a hearing related to the case. Investigators say they've arrested the man accused of hurting a 14-year-old in a drive-by shooting. It happened last month outside of a home near Glover Street in Eustis. The victim was hit in the leg but is expected to be okay. Eustis police say they've arrested 20-year-old Jabari Lane and a 17-year-old girl. Lane is charged with attempted second-degree murder.
Another top story, the city of Melbourne is facing a lawsuit from a woman who was raped as a child more than 30 years ago. She claims the police department mishandled the investigation back in 1990 when she was just 11 years old. News 6 investigator Mike DeForest has the latest developments.
The police came out. They had me, I had to change clothes. I had to go to the hospital, and they did a rape kit.
Elizabeth Bradshaw was 11 years old when she says she was raped in her bedroom by a family acquaintance. News 6 is not identifying the man because he's never been charged with the crime. You named him the night it happened.
Yes, sir.
You told police his name.
Absolutely.
When Bradshaw was still young, she says her mother told her the accused rapist had committed suicide. For decades, Bradshaw believed her attacker was dead. But just a few years ago, she bumped into him at a gas station.
My whole body just kind of froze.
Bradshaw immediately contacted the Melbourne Police Department, which found this original 1990 police report that says the suspect was not located or contacted. The agency also discovered this Florida Department of Law Enforcement lab report. It confirms semen was identified in the rape kit and on Bradshaw's bedding and clothing. These drawings show the location of stains found on Bradshaw's nightgown and on the inside of her underwear. But the actual items are missing. Melbourne police could not find them, saying the physical evidence had been disposed. Without that evidence, the state attorney's office says it cannot prosecute the suspected child rapist who still lives in Brevard County.
An officer of Melbourne Police Department destroyed the evidence in the active rape case of an 11-year-old child.
Now, Bradshaw has filed this lawsuit against the city of Melbourne. The perpetrator will never face criminal charges or civil litigation for the plaintiff's rape because of negligence of the defendant's police department, the complaint states. An attorney for the city of Melbourne says what happened to Bradshaw is abhorrent and tragic, but the city does not believe it is liable and is trying to get this lawsuit thrown out. Mike DeForest, News 6.
We are hearing from the family of a man who was killed by a hit-and-run driver. He was in a wheelchair crossing the street at the time. It happened Sunday night on State Road 436 near East Colonial Drive in East Orange County. That's not far from Orlando Executive Airport. Your Orlando community correspondent Troy Campbell is speaking with the man's family about their sudden loss.
This business tells us this is the camera where investigators got surveillance footage of the crash. We spoke with the victim's family, who was urging that driver to turn themselves in.
Naomi Castro says her family is left heartbroken after the death of her father, 48-year-old Pedro Castro.
What went through your mind when you heard somebody had hit your father with their vehicle and kept going?
I was like, what? Are you kidding me?
Florida Highway Patrol says just before 9 p.m. Sunday, a dark-colored sedan struck Castro in his wheelchair as he attempted to cross State Road 436 near State Road 50. Troopers say he was not in a crosswalk and the driver fled the scene.
How can someone, just anyone, any human being, do that to another human being? It's so cruel, because you would think that you have, some kind of heart to stop and see if he's okay. But the fact that they just kept going, it frustrates me.
Troopers released this video of the crash, hoping to generate leads to identify the driver.
Did you watch that video of the crash?
Unfortunately, I saw it today. I didn't even know it was out until family and coworkers came to me and, they brought it to my attention. And
Castro says her father was a great cook and known to make others laugh. She's now hoping someone is held responsible for leaving the scene of his death.
What is your message to anyone who knows who's driving that vehicle or where that vehicle is today?
Please, for the love of God, if there's any inch of humanity in you, please come out. If you know something, if you've seen it, if you know anything, please come out and say it.
And we have a link to the family's fundraising page on our website, clickorlando.com. And again, FHP is urging anyone with information about that suspect vehicle to call Crime Line, their number 800-423-TIPS. I'm your Orlando community correspondent, Troy Campbell, News 6.
As the federal midterm approaches next year, some states, including Florida, are looking into congressional redistricting. And just into the newsroom, Florida's Speaker of the House, Daniel Perez, says he is creating a select committee on redistricting. In a memo, the House Speaker says they will be accepting requests through the end of next week. The committee members will then be announced next month. Perez adds anyone interested in running for Congress is ineligible, and any elected members who express opinions about it are disqualified. The Florida Democratic members of the House are condemning the committee, calling the process deeply troubling.
Voters reached out to News 6 after receiving postcards from the Seminole County Supervisor of Elections asking them to confirm their address, and now we are getting answers. Today, the supervisor showed us all the mail the office has received as a result of the mailing. Many of the cards were returned to the office because the voter no longer lives at that address. The elections office is required by law to do list maintenance to ensure the voter rolls are accurate. Sending address verification cards is one way to check to make sure the rolls are correct.
This tells us our voter rolls aren't perfect, they're not clean, they're not up to date, and this gives us the starting point of where we can get our voter rolls up to date.
Is this what you hoped to do when you sent these mailers out initially?
This is exactly what we hoped to do. We didn't anticipate the volume of return, but we anticipated a lot of returns in order for us to be able to start the process and make sure that we were updating our voter rolls.
The elections office also received more than 3,200 vote-by-mail renewals since the mailers went out. Due to a change in state law, vote-by-mail requests expire every 2 years after a federal general election.
Well, it is one of the busiest streets in Sanford, and if you drive it, you definitely have noticed all the construction there. We're talking about part of State Road 46. FDOT is now doing road work to slow drivers down. Your Seminole County community correspondent, Catherine Silver, shows us the latest changes you should know about.
We're on State Road 46 headed towards downtown Sanford, just over the bridge, and you notice all of this construction. The first change you might have noticed here recently is the speed limit. The stretch between Persimmon to French Avenue is now 35 miles an hour. It used to be up to 45 here. So if you haven't noticed already, slow down. The second thing you may see here is how this area is changing to become more pedestrian and bike friendly. There are mid-block crossings. They're more prominent now, designed to catch your attention as you drive. And there's these curb ramps. If you drive here, you've probably noticed these already. Sanford Police posted about this project on their Facebook page, and there's already comments about them sticking out. One person wrote, "Almost got sideswiped last week by someone trying to avoid the new curbs that come out into the road." Did you notice the lower speed limit and the new crossings?
I haven't, no.
Now FDOT is adding buffered bike lanes. They've also eliminated on-street parking in some parts of this stretch to make it safer for people who do walk or bike here. You see a lot of people walk and bike here?
Yeah.
When these crossings do open, police want people to use them, and drivers will have to stop for people when they do. And there will still be alternating lane closures throughout this stretch this week as construction continues. The entire project should be finished early next year. In Sanford, I'm Catherine Silver, News 6.
Now to a live look at stocks after the closing bell today and how they are responding to the president's new wave of tariffs. The Dow ending down today by more than 200 points. The president's tariffs against dozens of trade partners around the world took effect at midnight. So what exactly does that mean for your wallet? Maribel Gonzalez breaks down what goods could be impacted and by how much.
President Donald Trump placed higher tariffs again on just about every country in the world.
You either partner with us or you compete with us and face tariffs.
Before today, virtually every country's goods were subject to a minimum 10% tariff. Now, about 40 countries with which the U.S. runs a trade deficit will face a 15% rate. Some, like Brazil, will even be hit with steeper rates. While Trump says tariffs will not lead to higher prices, experts say items that you come across on a daily basis, from electronics to clothing, watches to alcohol, and even toys, will now probably cost you more.
This is the largest tax increase on U.S. consumers in 3 generations.
The tariffs on Canadian goods start at a minimum of 35%, unless they are compliant with the terms of the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement, in which case they face no tariffs. Still, Canadian officials say the U.S.'s northern neighbor is set to ramp up trade with other partners.
He's probably the most disliked politician in the world in Canada, because he's attacked his closest family member.
With trade policy nearing a turning point, the U.S. Treasury Secretary said that the Trump administration is now focused on addressing the cost of living.
We're going to be looking at what we can do for housing, for student loans, for overall, because there is an affordability crisis.
I'm Maribel Gonzalez reporting.
With many parents wrapping up their back-to-school checklist, healthcare providers are concerned about the drop in vaccinations.
It's safer for their child to get the vaccines.
Experts share why it is so important for the school year that's next.
Scattered thunderstorms out there now. They will ramp down earlier than last night, but then a few more downpours sneak in overnight. We're going to pinpoint that forecast as we get ready to close out the work week in a few minutes.
And before we head to break, we have an all-new primetime schedule on News 6 Plus to tell you about. Matt and I have a new take on the day's news on News 6 tonight. That's at 9 o'clock. Then go in depth. We track the tropics and answer your weather questions with meteorologist Jonathan Kegas at 9:30. Then watch the late news an hour earlier. It's all tonight on News 6 Plus. Download our streaming app for free. Search WKMG in your smart TV's app store. It's also available on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV.
The first day of school is just days away for most students across Central Florida, and there is a noticeable drop in vaccination rates.
And it's raising concerns for some healthcare providers. News 6's Angie Casada explains what this could mean for the school year ahead.
The school year is starting, but for some districts, fewer kindergartners are walking into class fully immunized. According to Florida Health Charts, statewide, nearly 89% of kindergarten students met required immunization guidelines this year. But some Central Florida counties fell below that average. Orange County with 85.4%, Lake coming in with 86%, Osceola County showing 86.3%, and Volusia County with 88.6%. Health practitioners are noticing a shift. More families are delaying or opting out of vaccinations altogether.
Yeah, I've definitely seen a little bit of a decline when people come in to get their vaccines. There's been probably the biggest decline would be the MMR, but also unfortunately in the flu shots and the COVID vaccines.
Florida law requires several vaccinations for students entering kindergarten, including MMR, polio, hepatitis B, and DTaP, unless exemptions are filed.
I think a lot of misinformation, a lot of fear. The parents that I talk to, they all want to do the right thing. They want their child to be safe, but they unfortunately are being told that being safe is for them to not get the vaccines, which exactly the opposite is true. It's safer for their child to get the vaccines.
And with thousands of students heading back to class, schools will continue working to balance state requirements with family choice.
Reporting in Orlando, Angie Casada, News 6.
The Florida Department of Health is linking a New Smyrna Beach dairy farm to a string of recent illnesses involving raw milk. The DOH is concerned about sanitation practices at Keeley Farms. It says since January, 21 people, including children, have gotten sick from E. coli. Some of them ended up in the hospital. At least 2 of those cases were severe. Your community correspondent for Volusia County, Molly Reed, called Keeley Farms this morning. The dairy told her that it stresses on social media and to customers raw milk is only sold as pet food and not intended for human consumption. In fact, in a notice on the dairy's website, it says raw milk is labeled and sold as livestock feed. The Department of Health will keep working with Keeley Farms on effective sanitation practices.
Meantime, changes are coming for people who use SNAP in Florida. The USDA approved the state's request to restrict junk food items, including soda, energy drinks, candy, and packaged desserts like cookies and cakes. The governor says the decision is about promoting healthier choices for families, but some critics argue it's intrusive and could hurt low-income households. The new rule affects nearly 3 million Floridians and will be monitored closely over a 2-year period.
All right, time now for your forecast. We're on the cusp of a weekend and also the kids going back to school next week.
Go on.
A lot of plans, outdoor activities. They're trying to squeeze it all in right now, Jonathan.
And I think we're going to be able to do that to some degree. There's going to be most of the storms, I think, are going to focus onto the west side of Florida. We'll get into that in just 1 second, at least for the weekend. Right now, that's exactly what's happening as well. We have scattered thunderstorms that tried to fire up along the I-95 corridor. And by the way, to get that forecast and to track those storms, if you're heading outside with lightning detection, download the free News 6 weather app. Those scattered thunderstorms are going to continue to push to the south and west, southwest of the turnpike, and will continue to leave us alone. And I think we're done on a widespread scale with the thunderstorms on the early side of the evening, save for a few stray downpours that come in off of the Atlantic. We're going to change up the weather pattern a little bit over the next couple of days. So there we go through the rest of the evening. A stray downpour trying to pop back up along the I-4 corridor, but the flow through the atmosphere is going to take things from the Atlantic inland. You see all this action, though, closer to the I-95 corridor. That was midnight and through the overnight, and then by 7 to 8 o'clock in the morning. So on your commute tomorrow morning and into work, or maybe you're doing some back-to-school shopping through the early stages of the afternoon, especially along the I-95 corridor, rain chances are going to be elevated just a little bit. You'll notice, though, along I-4 into the west, pretty dry until we get into the afternoon. Then we'll get our routine thunderstorms to fire up closer to I-95 and then push their way back to the west again. And that's going to be the theme over the next couple of days and through your weekend. Storms try to fire up close to the beaches, but will then leave us alone pretty quickly. So I think beach days getting into Saturday and Sunday are looking pretty good on a widespread scale. Leesburg, we're back to 85, 76 in the Villages. Sanford, good evening. We are back to 87 degrees. Now here's a look at your forecast.
Your forecast is sponsored by Ramjack.
Rain chances up to 70% tomorrow. We're back to the lower 90s in Mount Dora. We're at 91 degrees in Groveland as well. Getting into that last week in December break, don't let the high rain chances scare you. They are going to be elevated. Remember, that's if you're driving around Central Florida, you're going to have a 70% shot to get wet. The higher part of the breakdown, as I showed you on the future radar, it's going to be on the western side of Central Florida. So that's an earlier heads up for the I-75 corridor, that we are going to be on the wetter side. Again, afternoon thunderstorms coming our way, especially inland and closer to I-75. Same deal as we go through Sunday as well. So rain chances on the higher side, but nonetheless, watching that closely. National Weather Service, NOAA came out with their updated seasonal outlook for the hurricane season. Just wanted to pass this along. Shaved their numbers down a touch, still expecting 13 to 18 storms. Again, that's down from 13 to 19. So pretty much unchanged today as we are just getting ready to ramp things up. Of course, it's August. They issue their mid-season update every time we get into the first week of August. In terms of what's going on out there now, it's not much, thankfully, no immediate threats. There's still that wave off of the eastern seaboard, really not expected to develop anymore. A bigger wave out here, it's struggling. It's running into some dust. It does have a 60% chance to develop over the next few days, but that one is going to be one for the fish, just how we like it. 70% shot for storms through the weekend. Temperatures back into the low to mid 90s. Rain chances going down a little bit as we get back to the first week of school, guys.
Thank you, Jonathan. Open your camera app, scan the QR code on your screen right now, and click the link. We want to see your weather pictures and videos. They could end up on TV. You can also go to clickorlando.com/pins and upload your pictures and videos that way. Now to a question for our traffic safety expert.
Someone wanted to know if it's legal to leave your car on while quickly running into a store. Trooper Steve has that answer next. As we take a live look at Mount Dora, looking nice out there tonight. You're watching News 6. We'll be right back.
Coming up in the morning, staying safe as kids head back to school.
And I'll show you some of the common mistakes drivers make on the road, also you don't get a ticket.
Plus, rain chances stay high as we head into the weekend. Candace will have your forecast every 10 minutes.
Join us for News 6 mornings starting at 6. Is it legal to leave my car idle while running into the store? Well, if you can afford just ditching your stuff, why not? Listen, I don't understand this. I'll roll into the gas station at 3 o'clock in the morning on the way into work, and someone's car is just running with the keys in the ignition and they're inside grabbing a Slurpee or something. No, Florida law specifically says you are not allowed to do this. The fact that you need a law to tell you to do it is crazy in the first place, but you can be cited for this. It would be a non-moving violation if a law enforcement officer was to observe something like this. Now, I understand some of you keep your dog or your pet or whatever animal in the car and you want to keep that AC going, you have to be with the animal. You cannot leave this stuff unoccupied. If you got a traffic safety question, you want me to answer it, head on over to clickorlando.com/ask-Trooper-Steve.
A group of 4 astronauts who should be on their way back home to Earth remain on the International Space Station. Crew 10 was scheduled to undock from the ISS earlier yesterday, but their departure was called off because of high wind in the splashdown zones off the coast of California. SpaceX and NASA now targeting tomorrow just after 6 for the undocking. If it happens on time, the crew will splash down Saturday morning at 11:30. News 6 at 5 is next.
Anchor Matt Austin is in the newsroom with what's ahead.
Well, after we told you how officials are seeing an increase in those super speeder arrests, yesterday 2 more people were arrested. Today, they were learning about those cases. We'll tell you what's going on. Plus, sports are a huge moneymaker in many communities. We're going to show you the newest facility being built in Seminole County. It's a doozy. And later, what we're learning about a massive airline outage yesterday that is still being felt today. Your forecast is only minutes away. Look at that bird in the picture. That's cool. Don't forget, you can stream all of our newscasts and live cameras like this one at Port Canaveral for free anytime on News 6 Plus. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Now at 5, a federal judge ruling against operations at Alligator Alcatraz, why it's not impacting those being held behind bars.
Plus, we're speaking to one of your representative's attorneys as he faces some pretty serious allegations.
Streaming on clickorlando.com and broadcasting live, you're watching News 6 at 5 p.m.
But we start tonight like a number of other evenings this week following storms across Central Florida.
Yeah, you're looking live right now at some pretty wet roads out there across Central Florida. This is a look at the Florida Turnpike near Claremont. Meteorologist Jonathan Kagas is tracking the conditions where you live for us. Jonathan?
Yeah, the good news is, guys, we're going to get rid of these storms pretty quickly tonight as they move off to the south and west. We have one storm right around Denellen that's going to continue to work its way back out of Marion County. Then a few more thunderstorms firing up just to the west of Rockledge. These are pushing through Deer Park into Holopaw, Harmony. Good evening. I'm watching those storms for you, and then everything pushing toward Lakeland right now. So again, these are going to wrap up fairly quickly. A lot of us are dry, certainly from Palm Coast to Marineland back to Bunnell, and I think we're going to keep things pretty quiet again as we get into the evening. There we go, 5, 6 o'clock. Everything's going to start to push back off to the west. I'm also going to be watching, though, for a few stray downpours to sneak on shore. We're going to change up the weather pattern a little bit. A weak tropical wave puts its influence on our weather for the weekend. I'll talk about what that means for your plans coming up at about 5:17, guys.
Jonathan, thank you. Well, the first real blow to Florida's enforcement of President Trump's immigration policy. A federal judge ruling against the Alligator Alcatraz detention facility in South Florida.
News 6 anchor Ginger Gadsden joins us now live in studio. And Ginger, this does not mean the facility will have to close.
Correct, Lisa. The federal judge's ruling ordered a temporary stop to construction at Alligator Alcatraz, but it can continue to operate. Workers will not be able to add any new filling, paving, or infrastructure, though, for the next 2 weeks. Attorneys for the environmental groups and local indigenous tribe asked the judge for the injunction to stop construction. They claim the project threatened environmentally sensitive wetlands, home to protected animals and plants, and would reverse billions of dollars worth of environmental restoration.
We have documented with our scientific experts about 20 acres, at least 20 acres now, of new asphalt laid at the site. The state has alleged that there was an existing concrete pad underneath. We examined that claim, and there's no evidence to support that claim. There's also a new roadway that's included in that roughly 20 acres. We also know that there is industrial lighting out at the site now that's visible from about 15 miles away.
The attorney for the state was asked if the state would agree to stop construction to avoid the need for the restraining order, since the judge said anything built there would likely remain there permanently no matter how the case was decided. The attorney said they could not guarantee the state would stop construction. Lawyers for the state will be back in the courtroom defending the facility in just a couple of weeks. A civil rights group filed a lawsuit saying detainees' rights are being violated since they are being barred from meeting lawyers, being held without any charges, and a federal immigration court has canceled bond hearings. A hearing in that case is scheduled for August 18th. We, of course, will keep you posted. Lisa, Matt.
Ginger, thank you. New details this afternoon about accusations against Central Florida Congressman Corey Mills.
We now have text message exchanges between Mills and Miss United States. Lindsay Langston filed a police report claiming the New Smyrna Beach Republican threatened to send explicit pictures and videos of her to men. News 6 has also learned a judge in Columbia County has set a hearing related to the case. Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed sat down with Mills' attorney today.
Mills attorney Aaron Delgado tells me that they agreed to meet and serve Congressman Mills with the paperwork of the injunction case in Columbia County. He says a hearing has now been set in 2 weeks.
I don't see anything civil in there. I don't see any reason for an injunction. I certainly don't see anything criminal in there.
These screenshots of text and social media messages between Corey Mills and Lindsay Langston are what his attorney Aaron Delgado is referring to. In one exchange, Mills writes, "I'm sorry to see this is how you treat things. Good luck. Thanks again for the videos." Langston responds, "Haven't you hurt me enough? Please leave me alone." The messages are part of the injunction filed by Mills' ex-girlfriend, who is also a Republican state committee member and 2024 Miss United States winner. The incident report says she told police that Mills threatened to release intimate images and video after she left him earlier this year. It says they were living together in his New Smyrna Beach house, but broke up after news broke that another woman accused the congressman of assault. That woman later withdrew her accusation.
I think it's really important that people look at the actual language in the injunction and the attached messages. A lot of them are taken out of, just plucked, and you can even see how there's screenshots, just a few of them. Some of them have no dates, no times.
Now at the hearing in 2 weeks, I'm told that Langston and her attorney could present more evidence if they have it, and the judge could issue an injunction at that point if he sees fit. Again, that hearing is in 2 weeks in Columbia County, where this was filed. I'm your Volusia County Community Correspondent Molly Reed, News 6.
We are following some breaking news right now out of South Orlando, where Orange County Fire is at a hazmat situation. This is happening on Aberton Court. That's between the Turnpike and South Orange Blossom Trail, just north of Gatorland. We do not know specifically what is happening here, but as you can see, there's a heavy law enforcement presence. Fire Rescue has told us the Orange County Sheriff's Office is the lead on this investigation. We'll keep you updated. A month after a teenager was shot inside their home, Eustis police say they have the two people responsible. Investigators tell us 20-year-old Jabari Lane, pictured here, and a 17-year-old girl were arrested this week. Lane is facing charges including attempted second-degree murder, shooting a gun in public, and shooting into a home. Investigators say Lane shot into a home near Glover Street in Eustis on the evening of July 6th, hitting a 14-year-old in the leg. Police told us then they expected he would be okay. They also told us they thought the shooting stemmed from a rivalry between two groups, but it's not clear what those groups were or how they knew each other. We know Lane was arrested in Volusia County and transported to the Lake County Jail, where he remains in custody tonight. The 17-year-old is facing similar charges to Lane. We are working to figure out how exactly she was involved.
6 soldiers who managed to tackle an active shooter at a Georgia Army base are being hailed as heroes. As CBS's Skylar Henry shows us, military officials are trying to figure out how the suspect, an active duty service member from Jacksonville, got his personal weapon onto the base before opening fire on fellow soldiers.
Army Secretary Dan Driscoll visited Fort Stewart Thursday, honoring the brave service members whose actions helped save lives.
They are everything that is good about this nation. They are the best among us in our country.
They have an active shooter on Fort Stewart.
This cell phone video shows soldiers rushing from their barracks after an Army sergeant, identified as 28-year-old Cornelius Radford, allegedly opened fire Wednesday, just before 11 a.m., using his personal handgun.
We train for this on the battlefield, and it's a different situation when it happens on an installation with one of your own.
Authorities say fellow soldiers tackled and subdued the suspect, while others provided life-saving medical care to the victims.
When you train and when you train and when you train, this is what you do.
First Sergeant Joshua Arnold, a combat medic, says his training kicked in as soon as he heard the gunshots.
I provided aid to 3 individuals, assessing initial injuries and applying pressure to wounds.
Army officials say 3 of the 5 injured soldiers have since been released from the hospital. 2 more are still being treated.
1 soldier remains as an inpatient here at Wynn Army, right here on Fort Stewart. She's doing very well in high spirits. And we have 1 soldier that remains at Savannah Memorial Community Hospital. She's got a little bit longer road to recovery.
Investigators are now going through shell casings and witness statements as they search for a motive. Radford is currently in pre-trial confinement awaiting charges. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Fort Stewart, Georgia.
Officials say Radford joined the Army more than 7 years ago, has never been deployed to combat, and has no known disciplinary issues, but he was arrested for a DUI back in May.
New at 5, Central Florida law enforcement putting the cuffs on 2 more drivers accused of excessive speeding. Investigators say both of these men were caught going more than 100 miles per hour on I-4. Deputies in Seminole County pulled over Emmanuel Rodriguez in his black Tesla early this morning. They say he was clocked going 107 miles per hour in a 65. And Joshua Woods was arrested early yesterday morning in Orange County. Deputies say his dangerous driving started with him weaving in and out of traffic before finding an open lane to take off. They say he hit 113 miles per hour in a 60. Both men are facing charges under Florida's new super speeder law. Anyone convicted could face up to 30 days in jail and a $500 fine for a first offense.
A late-night shooting last Halloween that killed 2 people and hurt 8 more in downtown Orlando was the final straw for city officials. The mayor issued a number of measures to tighten security, including restrictions on alcohol sales, which remains in place today. Now, bar owners have been suing the city to lift some of those restrictions and asking a judge to step in while the case plays out. As News 6's Stephanie Rodriguez reports, the judge is staying out of this for now.
A judge denied the business's request to put the rules on hold while all of this plays out in court. Last September, some Orlando bar owners filed a federal lawsuit against the city of Orlando and the police chief, challenging the after midnight sales ordinance, which requires certain bars to pay for police protection between 10:30 p.m. and 3:30 a.m. The handful of bars that sued alleged that this ordinance is an unconstitutional financial burden that targets their businesses selectively while exempting other venues. The federal lawsuit also argues City of Orlando-owned venues such as Camping World Stadium and the Dr. Phillips Center add to the security burden by, quote, pushing tens of thousands of visitors into the streets and parking lots of downtown Orlando, adding that those venues do serve alcohol but don't participate in the after midnight permit. Now, in the ruling on the request to pause the ordinance rules, the judge said, quote, the court concludes that the motion fails because it does not establish irreparable harm and that the plaintiffs delayed in filing this suit until several months after suffering the alleged harm and further delayed in filing the instant motion. This means the ordinance stays in place and those bars have to keep paying for security until a final judgment is reached. In downtown Orlando, Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6.
Still to come, sports complexes. These things are huge money makers for communities across Central Florida. Next at 5, we'll take a look at one of the newest facilities being built in Seminole County.
And the answers we are trying to get after a massive nationwide ground stop of one of America's largest airlines. You're watching News 6 at 5. We'll be right back.
Today's Port Canaveral Cam is sponsored by Launch Credit Union.
Seminole County is looking for a big boost in sports revenue.
Leaders talked today about a new indoor sports facility that, if approved, could double the amount of money the county brings in for sports.
News 6's Mark Lehman is looking into the project's impact and who would foot the bill.
Seminole County wants to build this indoor sports complex here at the site of these soccer fields near the airport in Sanford. Today we're hearing more about the benefit and funding of all of this, but there will likely be changes to the project along the way.
You can trace this project back decades.
Tourism leaders coming today for a conversation on a plan to create a hub for sports tournaments. Just around the corner from the Boomba Sports Complex is where Seminole County wants to build an indoor facility.
There is big business in sports tourism, especially amateur sports business, and so we want to keep driving that here to our destination.
Earlier this year, the county created a sports tourism district to help fund the project, adding a fee of $1.75 per night for hotel rooms.
This protects their assets from the ownership standpoint like no other investment in Seminole County.
Initial plans listed the facility at a cost of up to $100 million. A second option without a parking deck would cost $66 million. The plan was also for a 172,000 square foot building, but that will likely be scaled back.
Can fit a lot of our needs, but it doesn't mean that that's in concrete. That is right now solely a placeholder.
Commissioners have also expressed concerns with the price tag. They acknowledge the benefit extra tournaments and events will bring to the area, but want to make sure any funding decision is a responsible one.
Ultimately, we can make it work. We have to be disciplined enough to do the right thing.
At this point, commissioners are waiting to hear an updated proposal on this facility, and a final vote is likely months away. The hope, however, is to begin construction in 2027. In Seminole County, Mark Lehman, News 6.
Well, the stormy season has been ruining a lot of those sports practices recently.
Love those indoor facilities right now.
They are magical. Yeah, our meteorologist Jonathan Kegas joins us now. Some practices might be called off tonight, huh?
Yeah, we are. I think we're going to get things done on the early side. We're going to be watching those scattered thunderstorms pushing their way back down to the south and west. A couple of rocking storms moving back through Harmony, Holopah, and the Deer Park area. I've been watching that cell moving out of Rockledge for you guys. And then we have all that pushing towards, that was over the Four Corners area and parts of Kissimmee, now back towards Bartow and Lakeland. Still watching that cell that's over Denell, and that's likely our most beefy cell right now. And again, everything's going to start to come down and wind down in intensity and in coverage. Again, if you're heading outside tonight, you can download the free News 6 weather app. You get the lightning detection, one of the best features of that app. If you're in a 10-mile radius, you're going to get that alert. You can dial up the radar and see where that storm is at. We're quieting down along the I-95 corridor. We will be watching for a few stray downpours, though, to sneak in late tonight and overnight with our new disturbance coming through. So there's 7 to 8 o'clock. I think most of that junk is all the way off to the west if you do have plans tonight. And then you see these scattered thunderstorms. That was late tonight through the overnight. Here 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. So driving to work, would not be surprised again if you're doing battle with a few downpours right along the I-95 corridor tomorrow. Just keep that in mind, that it might be a little bit of a different morning commute again for some of us closer to the coast. There's 1 o'clock on your Friday afternoon, still dealing with a few stray thunderstorms trying to sneak on shore. The bigger deal, the most widespread storm activity tomorrow going to be along into the west of the I-4 corridor. Our breeze is off of the Atlantic. It's going to help to push the East Coast sea breeze and nudge these storms further back to the I-75 corridor, and you see that flare up there. That's really going to be the theme rolling right on through your weekend as well. The higher rain chances are going to be on the west side of Central Florida tomorrow and through the weekend. Now here's a look at your forecast.
Your forecast is sponsored by Payne Law.
Temperatures back to the lower 90s tomorrow. We'll see extra clouds in play tomorrow, and then the earlier start time for those thunderstorms I just showed you. A couple of downpours again sneaking into Daytona Beach and New Smyrna on the early side. Here's kind of the pattern. You see all the yellows starting to pop up. This is where the rain is going to focus, at least the heaviest rain. So we'll just be doing a little dodging east of Orlando and closer toward us along the coast. But you see the heavier rain. That's where we're going to focus the bigger thunderstorms again tomorrow, Saturday, and then again on Sunday. You see that right there, even a little more widespread Sunday evening. So your beach weekend, not a washout by any means. I think we'll just fire up a couple of thunderstorms and those will quickly push away from the beaches. The one thing we are going to be worried about, though, the rip current risk, those are high. That disturbance that's crossing Florida to enhance those storms, it's making the wind out of the east. It's going to be a little breezy, going to be a little choppy out there, and that's going to help to keep the rip current risk pretty high through your weekend. So just make sure you're paying attention to the lifeguards out there as we transition back to the first day of school. And everything's looking good in the morning on Monday, back to 78 degrees. We're, of course, heating things up back to the low to mid 90s, and then our routine thunderstorms pop back up into the afternoon. As the kids get on the school bus or you're picking them up in the car line, again, that's where the best opportunity to download that free News 6 weather app, that lightning detection critical if you're getting your kids out of school. 93 degrees on Sunday, 70% shot for storms on the first day of school. We'll drop those rain chances to 60%, guys.
Jonathan, thank you. You can open your camera app, scan the QR code on your screen right now, and click the link. We want to see your weather pictures and videos. They could end up on TV. You could also go to clickorlando.com/pins, upload your pics and videos that way.
After the break, a United Airlines outage impacted flights around the country. What we know so far about what exactly happened.
Your Thursday evening traffic alert. We'll see those weather conditions roll through again during our evening hours, but we could still see some construction, so be careful. We did see a major closure of the turnpike northbound about 528, and the lane closures out here towards Sand Lake. Also, 417 wasn't as bad last night, but we did see this. Northbound I-95 as you approach the Melbourne area. Super delays overnight for a right lane lane closure. This will probably happen again. I'm Trooper Steve with the News 6 Traffic Alert. Drive safely, and I'll catch you in the morning.
Here's a live look at downtown Orlando from our Light Orlando Delivering Hope camera. You're watching News 6 at 5. We'll be right back.
Taking a live look over Orlando International Airport from our Light Orlando camera, where things are mostly back to normal after a large outage yesterday with one of the nation's largest carriers. Hundreds of United Airlines flights were grounded by what the airline calls a technology issue.
United says it resolved that issue, but not quickly enough for travelers whose flights were canceled or delayed. Chris Van Cleve is trying to get answers on what caused it.
Welcome to a very busy Chicago here. Our apologies for the type of operation we're having today.
It was not the welcome tens of thousands of United passengers wanted after landing Wednesday evening in Chicago or across the country.
No United mainline right now is moving.
A system outage halted departures, prompting ground stops at several key United hubs nationwide, delaying hundreds of flights coast to coast, while others arrived at their destinations only to wait for hours in what amounted to a traffic jam on the tarmac. The system, known as Unimatic, feeds information to other airline systems, including those calculating the weight and balance of departing planes and tracking flight times.
It's critical to the safe operation of United.
Airline analyst Henry Harteveld.
Airlines, they usually have backup systems, and that's why this is very unusual, that there was no backup for the Unimatic system when whatever caused it to fail, failed.
That failure also prevented some from checking their bags.
I went to the self-check and it wouldn't process my luggage through to my final destinations. Between all of the time spent waiting for agents and stuff, I missed my flight.
Raphael Bentham's flight was in the air when the outage happened. He landed safely in Denver, but it took more than 2 hours for a gate to open up.
Communication really helped because people were actually calm. So that was surprising to me. For my plane, it was not a very frustrating. People were calm because they were being told what was going on.
Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says he's been in touch with United's CEO about this issue. The airline says it was not cybersecurity related, but because some aircraft were out of position at the end of last night, you're seeing residual cancellations and delays today. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Indianapolis.
After the break, nearly 24 people have gotten sick, and it's all being traced back to a Central Florida farm.
Plus, are our neighbors to the north taking fewer vacations to Central Florida? How officials are trying to boost tourism.
And if you've fallen behind on back-to-school shopping, don't feel like you need to rush out and buy everything you need right this second. The 3 tips to help you save without leaving home. Here's a live look at Daytona Beach. You're watching News 6. Keep it here. We'll be right back.
Glad you're with us. I'm Lisa Bell.
I'm Matt Austin. You're watching News 6 at 5. We are following several top stories for you right now. First, some breaking news. Orange County Fire is at a hazmat situation in South Orlando. This is on Aberton Court between the Turnpike and South OBT. We're pressing Orange County Sheriff's Office for some answers about what exactly is going on here. Meantime, your Orange County community correspondent Troy Campbell is on the way to the scene. We'll have a live report coming up in less than 30 minutes on News 6 at 6.
Also breaking, a federal judge has temporarily halted construction at the controversial Alligator Alcatraz Immigration Detention Center. The facility in the Everglades will continue to hold detainees, but no new filling, paving, or infrastructure work is allowed for the next 14 days. Environmental groups and a local indigenous tribe filed the lawsuit, saying the project threatens sensitive wetlands. State lawyers will return to court in a few weeks to defend the facility. And new details are emerging in the harassment claims against U.S. Congressman Mills made by his ex-girlfriend, Miss United States. Records show Lindsay Langston filed a police report saying Mills threatened to release sexually explicit images of her after their breakup. Now we've learned the Columbia County judge did not issue an injunction against Mills, but a hearing is scheduled. Meteorologist Jonathan Kagas is tracking storms across central Florida.
Yeah, right now we have them pretty much exiting the area. We're still watching a few thunderstorms, lots of lightning in between Denellen and Ocala tonight. But you notice over the last few minutes here, if you watch the timer, we start to lose the lightning. That storm is fizzling out. Also been watching around Deer Park and Holopaw for you guys, closer to the Turnpike as well. The thunderstorm still hanging out here. That is also fizzling. And I'm optimistic for a pretty quiet evening across most of central Florida. The next opportunity for rain will be right across I-95 late tonight, overnight, and into the early morning hours of tomorrow as a weak disturbance tries to move on shore. That's going to change the weather pattern up just a little bit. Getting into your weekend, we're going to detail that weekend forecast if you have plans with the family coming up at about 5:47.
Jonathan, thank you. A Volusia County farm is at the center of a warning from the Florida Department of Health.
So apparently people have been buying goods meant for animals from that farm and then consuming them. Ginger Gadsden joins us in the newsroom. So Ginger, what's going on here?
Yeah, Matt and Lisa, the Florida Department of Health says this all has to do with people drinking raw milk from Keeley Farms Dairy. That's in New Smyrna Beach. Now, the health department says 21 people, including 6 kids younger than 10, got sick after getting E. coli from the milk. 7 of those people had to be hospitalized and 2 got severely sick. In Florida, milk can only be sold in grocery stores if it's pasteurized. It's a process where milk is boiled to kill harmful bacteria, including E. coli, before being cooled again to then sell on shelves. Raw milk does not go through that process. It goes right from a cow to a bottle, meaning it cannot be sold for people to drink. If you go to Keeley Farms Dairy's website, it says right on their homepage, state law forbids sale of unpasteurized milk products for human consumption. So their products are labeled not for human consumption and sold as feed for calves. The farm sent us this statement today as well, saying they're not aware of any investigation from the Department of Health and they haven't been contacted by the health department yet. It also says the health department has not told the farm it has committed any wrongdoing and they feel blindsided by the press release. A news release from the health department says consumers have reported benefits of raw milk consumption, including better taste and protective effects for asthma and allergies. The Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services says raw milk can contain dangerous germs and pathogens that pose serious health risks to people. Matt?
Ginger, thank you. Well, Central Florida's theme parks are doing better than ever. In yesterday's Disney earnings report, the company said operating income from its U.S. theme parks climbed 22% in the third quarter compared to the year before. Just last week, we got second quarter earnings numbers from Comcast, Universal's parent company. They reported theme park income rose about 19% from last year, driven in large part by Epic Universe's grand opening.
But who is visiting those parks may be changing. Tourism officials say fewer Canadians are vacationing to Central Florida. As Osceola County community correspondent Laverne McGee discovered, the problem has gotten so bad that Experience Kissimmee went all the way to Toronto to see if there is anything that can be done.
Behind all the tourists having fun at the theme parks are workers like Caleb Johnson.
How important is tourists, for instance, coming from Canada,
to people's livelihood here.
Oh, it's very important. I mean, it's what helps pay my bills.
He's been a bus driver for about 7 years, helping tourists get around. But with all the talk of tariffs and border issues, he's worried about Canadians not coming to Kissimmee. And Caleb is not alone.
Well, that's how we make our livelihood.
Disney employee Ken Smith is one of the thousands of people here who benefit from tourism. According to Experience Kissimmee, when people visit Osceola County, our entire community benefits. Tourism saves each household $4,400 in annual taxes.
Canada is our #1 international market.
D.T. Minich is the CEO and president of Experience Kissimmee, the corporation that markets Kissimmee and Osceola County all over the world. He just got back from Toronto, where he was promoting the area. Do people in Toronto know what Kissimmee is?
They do now. So I was up in Canada doing a lot of media interviews, and the Canadians, there's some resistance right now to travel to the U.S. I was up there just reassuring them that we're Canadian friendly, we want their business.
It's no secret Canadians have become skeptical. Between new tariffs and President Trump threatening to make Canada the 51st state, the relationship has become frayed. But overall, Minich says numbers are up. However, the telling sign will be this fall as the temperatures cool in the north.
So far, so good, but we're being very cautious.
I want Canadians and everyone of every nation to feel comfortable, to feel safe coming here, especially if they're spending their dollars.
In Kissimmee, your Osceola County correspondent, Laverne McGee, News 6.
So the Dow is down today as investors are weary of new U.S. tariffs now being levied on trading partners from around the world. Down 224 points there. The Trump administration says the new taxes are good for the country, but some shoppers aren't so sure.
This comes as the president is also promising even more tariffs on countries that are helping to fuel Russia's war with Ukraine. Reporter Erica Brown has the details on who is now in the president's crosshairs.
President Trump's global tariffs on dozens of trade partners are now in effect. The Trump administration says the import taxes are bringing in billions of dollars.
This year, we could have about $300 billion of new revenue, which is 1% of GDP. And then there's a chance that that could be higher in 26.
But economists warn the sweeping tariffs could lead to rising inflation, potentially driving up costs for American consumers already feeling the stress on their wallets.
The price is killing me. Instead of saving money in my bank account, I'm using it in groceries.
And it could make it harder for some businesses that rely on holiday shopping to turn a profit for the year.
In other years, you're able to predict whether this fall is going to be a good year or the holidays are going to be a good year or kind of a down year. I don't know with this one. I really don't.
As President Trump escalated his global trade war, he also announced new retaliatory measures as part of an effort to end Russia's war with Ukraine. The president is set to double tariffs on India to 50% on August 27th in retaliation for its continued use of oil and gas from Russia, which the president says is funding Russia's war with Ukraine. And India may not be alone.
We're doing it probably with a couple of others. One of them could be China.
The Kremlin indicated a meeting between President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin is in the works and could happen as soon as next week. Erica Brown, CBS News, the White House.
And despite some reported progress toward peace talks, President Trump is expected to institute more tariffs and sanctions against Russia beginning tomorrow.
Well, the president also made headlines this morning when he called on the Commerce Department to create a new U.S. census that doesn't count undocumented immigrants. The census has historically counted every person in the U.S. for the census. This isn't the first time President Trump tried to make changes to the census. He tried to add a citizenship question during his first administration, but the Supreme Court ruled against it. Last week, we told you voters reached out to News 6 after receiving postcards from the Seminole County Supervisor of Elections asking them to confirm their address. Now we're getting some answers about this. Today, the supervisor showed us all the mail the office has received as a result of that mailing. Many of the cards were returned to the office because the voter no longer lives at the address. The elections office is required by law to do list maintenance to ensure the voter rolls are accurate. Sending address verification cards is one way to check to make sure those rolls are correct.
This tells us our voter rolls aren't perfect, they're not clean, they're not up to date, and this gives us the starting point of where we can get our voter rolls up to date.
Is this what you hoped to do when you sent these mailers out initially?
This is exactly what we hoped to do. We didn't anticipate the volume of return, but we anticipated a lot of returns in order for us to be able to start the process and make sure that we were updating our voter rolls.
The Elections Office received more than 3,200 vote-by-mail renewals since those mailers went out. Due to a change in state law, vote-by-mail requests expire every 2 years after a federal general election.
This time next week, every student across Central Florida will be back in the classroom, but there is a noticeable drop in student vaccination rates this year, and it is raising concerns for some doctors. News 6's Angie Casada explains what that could mean for the school year ahead.
The school year is starting, but for some districts, fewer kindergartners are walking into class fully immunized. According to Florida Health Charts, statewide, nearly 89% of kindergarten students met required immunization guidelines this year. But some Central Florida counties fell below that average. Orange County with 85.4%, Lake coming in with 86%, Osceola County showing 86.3%, and Volusia County with 88.6%. Health practitioners are noticing a shift. More families are delaying or opting out of vaccinations altogether.
Yeah, I've definitely seen a little bit of a decline when people come in to get their vaccines. There's been probably the biggest decline would be the MMR, but also unfortunately in the flu shots and the COVID vaccines.
Florida law requires several vaccinations for students entering kindergarten, including MMR, polio, hepatitis B, and DTaP, unless exemptions are filed.
I think a lot of misinformation, a lot of fear. The parents that I talk to, they all want to do the right thing. They want their child to be safe, but they unfortunately are being told that being safe is for them to not get the vaccines, which exactly the opposite is true. It's safer for their child to get the vaccines.
And with thousands of students heading back to class, schools will continue working to balance state requirements with family choice.
Reporting in Orlando, Angie Casada, News 6.
And with so much focus on back to school, it's important to set your kids up for success early in the year, and that starts with having the right supplies. But you don't have to feel like you have to break the bank in order to make sure they have everything they need. Coming up after the break, we have 3 tips to fill out those supply lists without shelling out a lot of money.
And later, the heartwarming reunion for one Florida family, years in the making.
If you haven't finished your back-to-school shopping yet, you're almost out of time.
Don't feel like you need to rush out to the store right away and get the things you need. Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos, a famous couponer, has some tips to save without having to leave home.
It's that time of the year. You've got to buy the school supplies. But how do you save money without spending too much time? Let's break down some of those hacks. Erica Rodriguez-Kite, a busy mom of 2 boys, has learned the art of saving money.
This is from my glory days as a coupon lady. I got so good at it that I started writing for the local paper. But now, you know, the years have gone by and gotten busier. I work more now. I have 2 kids. Time is money. And if you're spending hours and hours and hours trying to save 50 cents here, $1 there, you got to kind of weigh, you know, if it's worth it.
So here are some tips that won't eat at your budget or your time. First, shop around your house for gently used pencils or even brand new supplies from years past.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Look.
Oh, look, jackpot.
Next step, load up your virtual carts early. Now, stores will track those items, alert you when they go on sale, or even send you an incentive to complete your purchase.
On some of the apps, they've got the lists already kind of loaded in there. So I'm going to look there.
What we found when comparing prices for a basic kindergarten supply list, Target's back-to-school sales closely match Walmart's everyday low prices. But surprisingly, the most expensive option were those dollar stores, since their prices don't drop for back-to-school season. Third step, buy in bulk. Now this is useful when maybe splitting between families or even paying it forward.
If you're finding like a super steal on crayons, buy a couple extra packs and donate those to a backpack drive. And then I'm just so excited to drop them off.
Mom, what are you most excited about for back to school?
Dropping them off.
Ditto. Ditto. Candace Campos, News 6.
There's
It's
a lot
happening.
to look forward to.
There is.
Dropping them
a
off
little
is
time
one
to
thing.
yourself here and there.
Yes.
How about that? But no, we're going to miss the kids. A little bit. Meteorologist Jonathan Kagas joining us now. Looks like most of the action is over in the western part of the state, huh?
Yeah, and this is kind of the turning of the tide that we talked about last night, that we're going to get back into this pattern where the East Coast sea breeze is dominant, which means we're pushing everything to the other side of the state. So we're ending things early, but it's rocking towards Spring Hill and along into the west of I-75 tonight. The storm I've been watching for you guys around Deer Park, Holopah, and Harmony, fizzling out. Still a few lingering lightning strikes, so just keep that in mind nearby. But nonetheless, we are getting rid of these thunderstorms pretty quick as expected. Another round of downpours early tomorrow. To track those, again, and get the latest forecast, you can download the News 6 weather app for free. But again, a pretty quiet evening in store for most of Central Florida. Here we go, 5, 6 o'clock. Future radar doing a phenomenal job tonight, showing again at least the most part of the motion here with these storms. There's 9 to 10 o'clock. I don't think these are really going to be here. There may be a few stray showers around, but I think all of the action still by 9 o'clock on each coast. As you see there, again, a few showers trying to sneak in overnight. That's because we had that disturbance that we've been talking about that's going to work its way onshore over the next couple of days. So there's 2 o'clock on your Friday afternoon. A few more downpours out there, and then the bigger stuff gets going along into the west of I-4, very similar to what we're seeing out there right now, with that focal point there for, again, the heaviest rain and the most long-lasting thunderstorms towards I-75 and the Gulf Coast. There's Friday night at 11 o'clock with a few stray showers around. Titusville, good evening. We are at 90. Cocoa Beach, we're at 89. Feels like 100. Kissimmee, we're back to 83. 89 degrees in Orlando. Wildwood, we're hanging around 82 degrees. Now here's a look at your pinpoint accurate forecast.
Your forecast is sponsored by Publix.
Tomorrow, we're back to the low 90s. Rain chances bumping up a little bit. Again, I don't think it's going to rain all day by any means. Remember that number, there's a lot more to the story to that. We'll fire a few downpours early. It's just your opportunity to get wet with the most widespread stuff, as we were showing you, again, along into the west of I-75. Late tomorrow night or late tomorrow afternoon into the evening. 70% shot again through the weekend for storms. Again, same kind of deal. I think if we're going to the beach, we're firing up a few storms early. Those will push inland, and then the most widespread activity is going to be along I-75. Not a ton going on in the tropics right now, but as we always get the first week of August, NOAA and the National Hurricane Center update their preseason forecast. Nothing really changed. Their August outlook, which again was released today, shaved off one storm off the the back end in each category here. They did drop the major hurricane forecast, the hurricane forecast, I should say, to 5 to 9 storms, largely in line with where we typically see 7 of those. 2 to 5 major storms now expected. The average is 3, so right in line, maybe slightly above there. Not much happening right now. There are 2 waves highlighted. This one off the eastern seaboard, likely not even going to develop. This wave here we're watching, it's battling some pretty awful conditions for development, which of course we like. Hurricane Center still gives that a 60% shot, but that one is staying way out into the central part of the Atlantic. It's leaving all land alone. Bermuda would have to watch that, but that's not coming to the United States. 70% shot for storms through the weekend, 60% chance for rain on Monday. We're keeping things typically blazing hot, guys.
Jonathan, thank you. After the break, we'll show you the heartwarming moments a family was made whole again after years apart.
Coming up in the morning, staying safe as kids head back to school.
And I'll show you some of the common mistakes drivers make on the road, also you don't get a ticket.
Plus, rain chances stay high as we head into the weekend. Candace will have your forecast every 10 minutes.
Join us for News 6 Mornings starting at 6.
Take a break from those summer reruns. Try out the all-new primetime schedule on News 6 Plus. Ginger and I have a new take on the day's news on News 6 tonight. That's at 9. Go in-depth as we track the tropics and answer your weather questions with meteorologist Jonathan Kegas at 9:30. Then watch the late news an hour earlier. It's all tonight on News 6 Plus. Download our streaming app for free. Search WKMG in your TV's app store. You can also find it on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire.
Every so often, Trooper Steve welcomes someone from our News 6 team into Results 1.
Today, he went on patrol with meteorologist Michelle Morgan, who talked about her journey to becoming a meteorologist.
How long have you been a meteorologist for?
I have been a meteorologist professionally.
Oh, yes.
For 10 years.
Okay, so let's pause there. So before that then, why do you say professionally for 10 years?
Because I went to school.
Okay.
And I was a student forecaster. And I also was kind of like a storm chaser.
Okay.
And, I always would send in data and observations to the National Weather Service too. So I always enjoyed that as well. But I did not have the degree to call myself a meteorologist. So when I went to Embry-Riddle and I decided to go into the meteorology program, that's when I realized that I made the best decision ever because I loved it so much.
That's cool.
And you can hit the road with Trooper Steve on patrol weekday mornings at 10, live on the new 6 Plus streaming app for your smart TV or clickorlando.com. After being rescued from a canal in South Florida, a dog was reunited with her family after 5 years.
The family adopted Bella, a German Shepherd, back in 2018, shortly after their house caught fire. And they had to give Bella to a friend who then gave her away, making it really hard to find her.
I literally dropped to my knees and I started crying because it's been so many years. So at that time, we had no other choice but to ask a friend, hey, can you just look after Bella for us?
So now the family plans to take Bella around Fort Lauderdale to visit friends and family before heading home to St. Cloud.
Aw, nice story. Well, Ginger Gadsden is in the newsroom with what we are working on for News 6 at 6.
Matt and Lisa, we're following breaking news in Orange County where a hazmat team was called to a neighborhood. We'll have a live update on what we know so far. And a woman is suing Melbourne's police department for negligence 3 decades after she was raped. Our News 6 investigators look into the shocking information in this case, including a terrifying moment where she says she encountered her attacker after she was told he was dead.
I'm Catherine Silver in Sanford, where drivers could see changes in their commute, what you should watch out for on one of the busiest roads.
A live look at downtown Orlando from our Light Orlando Delivering Hope camera. You're watching News 6. We'll be right back.
Streaming on clickorlando.com and broadcasting live, you're watching News 6 at 6 p.m.
We want to get you right to some breaking news in Orange County, where a hazmat unit has been on the scene in a South Orlando neighborhood.
News 6's Troy Campbell is in that neighborhood right now. Troy, what are you seeing?
Well, Matt and Ginger, right now we're up near Aberton Court. We're as close as we can get because if you take a look, you can see that caution tape and several sheriff's vehicles blocking the roadway. Now, their investigation appears to be surrounding the fourth home down on this street. Now, you can see there's several sheriff's office vehicles here on scene. We also saw a crime scene investigation unit. Also, earlier, there was a heavy presence from the Orange County Fire Rescue. At this point, it's unclear exactly what crews are responding to, but a witness does tell us she watched as at least 2 people were sprayed down. It's unclear what those 2 people might be being treated for. Now, neighbors also out here, they're waiting to get home, but they say they're unable to because the roadway's blocked off, many asking us what is going on. So again, a lot of uncertainty at this hour, but there does remain a heavy presence out here by investigators as they continue to collect evidence. And of course, we will continue to monitor this breaking scene. Live in Orange County, Troy Campbell, News 6. Back to you.
Troy, thank you. Be among the first to get breaking news updates by downloading our News 6 app and turning on breaking news alerts. The app is free in your app store. Just search WKMG. A Brevard County woman who was raped as a child more than 30 years ago is now suing the city of Melbourne. She says the police department mishandled that investigation back in 1990 when she was only 11 years old.
News 6 investigator Mike DeForest joins us now live in studio. And Mike, this woman claims her attacker is still on the loose decades later.
That's right. Back in 1990, Elizabeth Bradshaw identified the man that she says raped her. But Melbourne police never arrested that man, who still lives in Brevard County. Then the agency admits all the evidence was destroyed. Now, 35 years later, Bradshaw is suing the city of Melbourne for negligence.
The police came out. They had me, I had to change clothes. I had to go to the hospital, and they did a rape kit.
Elizabeth Bradshaw was 11 years old when she says she was raped in her bedroom by a family acquaintance. News 6 is not identifying the man because he's never been charged with the crime. You named him the night it happened.
Yes, sir.
You told police his name.
Absolutely.
When Bradshaw was still young, she says her mother told her the accused rapist had committed suicide. For decades, Bradshaw believed her attacker was dead. But just a few years ago, she bumped into him at a gas station.
My whole body just kind of froze.
Bradshaw immediately contacted the Melbourne Police Department, which found this original 1990 police report that says the suspect was not located or contacted. The agency also discovered this Florida Department of Law Enforcement lab report. It confirms semen was identified in the rape kit and on Bradshaw's bedding and clothing. These drawings show the location of stains found on Bradshaw's nightgown and on the inside of her underwear. But the actual items are missing. Melbourne police could not find them, saying the physical evidence had been disposed. Without that evidence, the state attorney's office says it cannot prosecute the suspected child rapist who still lives in Brevard County.
An officer of Melbourne Police Department destroyed the evidence in the active rape case of an 11-year-old child.
Now, Bradshaw has filed this lawsuit against the city of Melbourne. The perpetrator will never face criminal charges or civil litigation for the plaintiff's rape because of negligence of the defendant's police department, the complaint states. According to the lawsuit, the agency's mishandling of the rape case caused the plaintiff to seek mental health counseling, to be prescribed psychotropic medication, and contributed to the plaintiff's post-traumatic stress disorder diagnosis. The city of Melbourne is trying to get Bradshaw's lawsuit dismissed, arguing that it is not liable for what happened to her. The Florida Supreme Court has long held that governmental entities owe no duty to provide police or security protection to specific individuals, an attorney for the city wrote. While what happened to the plaintiff is abhorrent and tragic, there is no legal basis upon which to seek recovery as against the city. Now, Melbourne's current police chief, who did not work for the department when this rape occurred 35 years ago, says the city is sympathetic to Bradshaw's claims. The chief notes that the agency has put significant resources into thoroughly investigating how this matter was originally handled. Matt and Ginger.
Mike DeForest, thank you. A live look now at our Launch Credit Union Port Cam.
Things look pretty calm out there right now, and it is for most of Central Florida. Our meteorologist, Jonathan Kegas, has a look at where the storms are right now.
Yeah, guys, and you see all the lightning behind me. That's on the Gulf Coast. You're expecting that change in the weather pattern really starting today, and you're going to notice it a little more over the next couple of days and through your weekend. That will certainly still have opportunities for rain along I-95, but the higher chances and the widespread stuff that lingers late, kind of like what we had Monday and Tuesday, that's going to focus along I-75 and west towards the Gulf Coast. Hardly any lightning strikes now left in Central Florida. A stray scattered shower or two moving through the Florida Turnpike in Osceola County, then one lone lightning strike left in Central Florida. Again, all the action hanging out on the Gulf Coast over the next couple of days. Here's a live look into Denellen. Again, they're still reporting that lightning strikes are around town. Temperatures back to the mid-70s. It's a live look with our Weather STEM network of cameras. Tonight, we're going to talk about where the storms are headed for tomorrow and your weekend at about 6:17, guys.
Jonathan, thank you. Well, the young man police say killed a teenager during a late-night shooting in downtown Melbourne might have to go back to jail before his trial starts.
Brevard County community correspondent James Barbero has the latest on this tragic case.
Walking into court with my camera gear right now as I prepare to record a very important hearing for that accused downtown Melbourne gunman. This is video I showed you back in May when I learned the police were investigating it. Stefan Dijust is accused of killing 19-year-old Nate Jennings. Dijust was able to bond out of jail because he was only facing a manslaughter charge. However, once the state attorney's office reviewed the case, they upped Dijust's charge to murder. Prosecutors are seeking to increase his bond or revoke it altogether and send him back to jail.
And after he fires that first shot, does he stop?
He does not. He fires several more times.
He continues to fire?
Correct.
And what is Mr. Jennings doing when he's being shot by Mr. DeJuice?
Initially, Mr. Jennings kind of retreated and fell backwards, and then as he continued to retreat, he started moving northbound in the roadway as Mr. DeJuice continued to shoot.
And I saw another angle of the shooting that was presented in court for the first time. This is surveillance from a building next to the parking lot. Like the phone video, though, because Jennings died, I'm pausing it just before he shot. DeJuice's attorney argued Jennings was the instigator and was looking for a fight.
Nobody knows why Mr. Jennings was going after Mr. DeJuice, why he kept trying to fight him, why he kept trying to engage him.
Judge Steve Henderson said he wants more time to look over the new evidence, like the surveillance. So he said he's continuing this bond hearing until sometime next week. We'll update you again then. In Brevard County, I'm your community correspondent, James Sparvero, News 6.
Tonight, News 6 has learned a hearing has been set in the harassment case against Florida U.S. Representative Corey Mills, made by his ex-girlfriend. The hearing date comes after the judge in Columbia County decided not to issue an injunction against Mills. Records show Lindsay Langston filed a police report saying Mills threatened to release sexually explicit pictures and videos of her. Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed sat down with Mills' attorney today.
Mills' attorney Aaron Delgado tells me that they agreed to meet and serve Congressman Mills with the paperwork of the injunction case in Columbia County. He says a hearing has now been set in 2 weeks.
I don't see anything civil in there. I don't see any reason for an injunction. I certainly don't see anything criminal in there.
These screenshots of text and social media messages between Corey Mills and Lindsay Langston are what his attorney Aaron Delgado is referring to. In one exchange, Mills writes, "I'm sorry to see this is how you treat things. Good luck. Thanks again for the videos." Langston responds, "Haven't you hurt me enough? Please leave me alone." The messages are part of the injunction filed by Mills' ex-girlfriend, who is also a Republican state committee member and 2024 Miss United States winner. The incident report says she told police that Mills threatened to release intimate images and video after she left him earlier this year. It says they were living together in his New Smyrna Beach house, but broke up after news broke that another woman accused the congressman of assault. That woman later withdrew her accusation.
I think it's really important that people look at the actual language in the injunction and the attached messages. A lot of them are taken out of, just plucked, and you can even see how there's screenshots, just a few of them. Some of them have no dates, no times.
Now at the hearing in 2 weeks, I'm told that Langston and her attorney could present more evidence if they have it, and the judge could issue an injunction at that point if he sees fit. Again, that hearing is in 2 weeks in Columbia County, where this was filed. I'm your Volusia County Community Correspondent Molly Reed, News 6.
And within the past hour, we received a statement from Congressman Mills. In it, he blames all of this on his former political rival, Anthony Sabatini. He is the one who first released those text messages. Mills said, while the accusations are baseless, I sincerely hope he is not using his client as a sacrifice at the altar for his own political ambitions. We asked Sabatini about his legal relationship with Langston. He told us he, quote, legally advises her at times.
As the federal midterms approach next year, some states, including Florida, are looking into congressional redistricting. And today, Florida Speaker of the House, Daniel Perez, says he's creating a select committee on this issue. In a memo, the House Speaker says they'll be accepting requests through the end of next week. The committee members will then be announced next month. Perez adds that anyone interested in running for Congress is ineligible, and any elected members who express opinions about redistricting are disqualified. The Florida Democratic members of the House are condemning the committee, calling the process deeply troubling. More news, sports, and weather still to come on News 6 at 6.
Including some traffic troubles for one busy road in Sanford. The DOT project that is aimed at slowing down drivers. What you need to know the next time you're on State Road 46.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Advent Health, helping the communities we serve to feel whole.
It is one of the busiest streets in Sanford, and if you drive on this thing, you definitely notice that there's some construction.
Yeah, we're talking, of course, about part of State Road 46. FDOT is doing road work to slow drivers down in that area. Our community correspondent, Catherine Silver, shows us the changes you should know about.
We're on State Road 46 headed towards downtown Sanford, just over the bridge, and you notice all of this construction. The first change you might have noticed here recently is the speed limit. The stretch between Persimmon to French Avenue is now 35 miles an hour. It used to be up to 45 here. So if you haven't noticed already, slow down. The second thing you may see here is how this area is changing to become more pedestrian and bike friendly. There are mid-block crossings. They're more prominent now, designed to catch your attention as you drive. And there's these curb ramps. If you drive here, you've probably noticed these already. Sanford Police posted about this project on their Facebook page, and there's already comments about them sticking out. One person wrote, "Almost got sideswiped last week by someone trying to avoid the new curbs that come out into the road." Did you notice the lower speed limit and the new crossings?
I haven't, no.
Now FDOT is adding buffered bike lanes. They've also eliminated on-street parking in some parts of this stretch to make it safer for people who do walk or bike here. You see a lot of people walk and bike here?
Yep, yeah.
When these crossings do open, police want people to use them, and drivers will have to stop for people when they do. And there will still be alternating lane closures throughout this stretch this week as construction continues. The entire project should be finished early next year. In Sanford, I'm Catherine Silver, News 6.
All right, Jonathan Kegas joins us now to talk about what's happening out there.
Yeah.
I know when I came in earlier today, you could hear the thunder
Yes.
happening, and you've got some stuff happening on radar right now.
We do. The good news is it is winding down.
Great.
It's pushing out, and I think that's going to be the same kind of thing we deal with tomorrow and the weekend, where we get a few storms around the I-4 corridor and I-95 early, and then they quickly push to the west. So it's Tampa's issue the next couple of days into the Gulf Coast of Florida. You see all the lightning strikes from the Big Bend down to the Gulf Coast through Tampa, St. Pete right now. A lot of lightning strikes to the west of I-75. East Coast sea breeze is going to be the dominant one. That means it helps to fire up a couple of storms around I-95, but then they quickly push inland. So your beach weekend, it's not a washout by any means, but just be mindful of a couple of downpours early and then thunderstorms developing in the afternoon and quickly moving away from the beaches. Also, you see a few radar returns out at sea. There's a weak disturbance there. That system is going to slide through tomorrow and through the weekend. It's going to help to drape some tropical moisture to enhance rain chances for us. So here we go, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock on our Thursday. Future radar again doing a nice job tonight, showing everything staying outside of our area as expected. Then late tonight, again, don't be surprised if there are a few rumbles of thunder or at least some downpours right along and close to I-95. An early heads up again for your morning commute if you're around or along the coastline tomorrow. We're going to have a shot for these downpours and thunderstorms to sneak in. That's because of that disturbance, that weak tropical wave hanging off of our coast tomorrow. And kind of see a little pinwheel with that. Here's lunchtime tomorrow. A few downpours still hanging around the coast. And then we'll get the afternoon stuff started. That's 7 to 8 o'clock because everything works from southeast back to northwest as that tropical moisture goes across the Florida peninsula. So again, the highest, most widespread rain chances are going to be along into the west of I-75. That's going to be the theme this weekend. Orlando, we're at 88. Titusville, 91. New Smyrna, we're at 84 degrees. Now here's a look at your forecast.
Sponsored by Strata Air Conditioning and Heating. AC emergency, you ought to call Strata.
We're back to the low 90s, rain chances at 70%. Now remember that 70%, there's a lot more to the story than it's just, oh my gosh, I have to cancel plans. No worries about that. Again, highest opportunity for those storms coming later in the day through I-75. You saw them get going again around I-95 to I-4, and then everything pushes back to the west. Again, it's all because of this. This dashed line represents a trough of the surface. That's our tropical wave that's kind of draped right off the Florida coastline, and it's going to bring the wind out of the south and east. That's one of the reasons why our rip current risk is also so high this weekend. So if you do have a beach weekend coming your way, just be mindful that the red flag's likely going to be flying. Again, that green there, the extratropical moisture courtesy of this wave, it slides over the Florida peninsula as we move from Friday through the weekend. It keeps rain chances high, but that also directs the flow off the Atlantic, and that's the other reason why that the storm chances are no doubt going to be the highest as we move into the next couple of days. You can clearly see that here with the rainfall forecast over the next 5 days. Certainly rain chances are there, but look where the darker yellows and reds and oranges are, closer to I-75, certainly west of Orlando, west of Sanford. Again, not bone dry by any means on the east side, but nonetheless, the heaviest, most widespread. That is the theme, all west. 92 degrees tomorrow. We're back to the low 90s over the weekend with a 70% shot for storms. We'll keep rain chances elevated as we go back to school on Monday.
Back to school it is. All right, thank you, Jonathan.
All right, Sports Director Jamie Say is here. Jamie, big game for Lake Mary softball tomorrow.
Sure is. They can advance to the U.S. Championship at the World Series tomorrow with a victory. I talked to the Lake Mary softball team today. They are awesome.
Of course.
And the Lake Mary Little League All-Star Baseball team is awesome, too. They're back home after yesterday's heartbreaking loss, though, in regionals. Their head coach was gracious enough to chat with me about it today. His thoughts coming up next. Welcome back to News 6. The head coach of the Lake Mary Little League All-Star Baseball team told me today that Lake Mary will be back. I talked to Coach Jonathan Anderson over Zoom about the team's 2025 season, which came to an end yesterday. Lake Mary suffered a heartbreaking 5-4 loss to South Carolina in the Southeast Regional Championship. South Carolina scored all of its runs in the last inning. A tough outcome for the All-Stars to accept after working so hard, playing so well in an effort to get Lake Mary back into the World Series. Anderson told me he's proud of every one of the boys on his team.
What kind of adjectives would you use to describe this team?
Exceptional, right? Those kids hit well, so well, and they played flawless defense. I don't even think we made an error, and they were just so good, and they were prepared, and they were disciplined. It's just it wasn't our turn. Lake Mary will be back. We will be back. We'll dust ourselves off. We'll make the adjustments, and we'll be there again.
Anderson added, it's the Lake Mary softball team's time to shine now. I connected with that group today, too. The All-Star softballers have the day off today in Greenville, North Carolina. This after they won their last 2 games to stay alive in the Little League Softball World Series. The girls continue their quest to win it all tomorrow. Lake Mary takes on Tulsa, Oklahoma at 4 in another elimination game. The winner will play for the U.S. Championship on Saturday. The All-Stars had batting practice today, and I talked to them afterward.
How does it feel to make it to this point, what you guys have been able to do in the last couple of games?
It feels nice because even when we're down, I can still trust in my team to still have the courage to fight back. Like, for example, yesterday. I know my team had a lot of confidence in me, personally, because they always tell me that they believe in me, and our whole team just believes in each other. What's special about us is how close we've come in a short amount of time, and the unity we all have together.
They're just so cool. All right, News 6 is headed to the Little League Softball World Series. Nathaniel Rivas will be there covering Lake Mary's game with Oklahoma tomorrow. It's a 4 o'clock first pitch. So watch for his coverage tomorrow and for the rest of Lake Mary's World Series run. Now, we've also posted the entire interviews with the All-Star softball team and with Lake Mary baseball coach Jonathan Anderson to clickorlando.com. So check them out. There's some good content right in there. Moving on to football, UCF kicks off the season 3 weeks from tonight. The Knights host Jacksonville State on Thursday the 28th. Tonight, UCF holds its first scrimmage of preseason. It's a measuring stick of the progress and what needs the most improvement. Coach Scott Frost will talk to the media after the scrimmage, and of course, News 6 is going to be there. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, meanwhile, are about to kick off preseason action. They host the Titans Saturday night. Those 2 teams, Tennessee and Tampa Bay, practiced together today at One Buck Place. There was a fight between the 2 sides when the TV cameras were not rolling, unfortunately. The Bucs and Titans, though, they're going to settle things on the field Saturday, sort of, kind of, because Tampa Bay coach Todd Bowles says his starters are not going to play, which is par for the course in preseason game number 1. But this is how you know things are getting intense when they're scrapping.
Yeah, it's that time of year you should be fighting a little bit at practice. They're fighting for positions, that's for sure. Jamie, say thank you. You'll have more news coming up at 9 o'clock on clickorlando.com and the News 6 Plus streaming app.
We'll see you then. Bye.